Hey friends, this is Jody of Fervor Voice. Thank you so much for joining me today, and it is time for us to get started on our work, and our work today is forgiveness. Let's go. Hey, good people, I'm back for my second episode. Yes, it is April 19th, Tuesday, and I want to touch on a couple things before I even get into the episode itself. So the episode last week from Fervor Voice was basically about my healing process and what I have learned through my healing process. I do feel like it's important for me to go ahead and address some of the comments that were made to me. And the comments that are made or the feedback that I get is always welcome, regardless of how you feel. I know that some felt like, wow, I think that may hurt some people, or I think that may bother some people. Let me be as clear as I can about this. This is my work. And while I'm doing my work, I'm hoping to encourage others to do their work. It's never intended to hurt anyone. It's never a lash out sort of situation. It is literally my work, the work that I am doing and the work that has brought me this far. So I make no apologies, and I do not feel the need to go back and say to anyone, please don't think that I meant, or please don't. You will receive it from where you are. And that is the honest goodness truth. Wherever you are is how you will receive what I said from last week. And that sits with you. It does not sit with me. So let me just say this. If you felt that I was insulting you per se, if that's what you felt, you are within your rights to feel that way, of course. You can also make that known. I'm making the things known that I feel on this podcast, which is within my right as well. Whatever it is that you feel, that is coming from your perspective, and that is coming from your space. Whether that space be one of misunderstanding or a space of miscommunication, or just a space of guilt. I'm just going to say it. If that's where you are, that belongs to you. It doesn't belong to me. And I love you. Period. We can always work our way to something greater. Whomever feels a certain way, whoever is feeling a way about it, we can always work our way to something greater. I didn't close any door. No door is closed at all. And I love each and every individual that I referenced. But they were referenced just to say that there are important decisions that we have to make, and there are important things that we have to look at. And we need to do those things in order to grow. Okay? That's all. It's all in love. It's all about growing. And that's it. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Probably took up too much time even getting that out of the way. But let's move on. This episode is forgiveness. It's about forgiveness. And I feel that this is the right topic to discuss at this point, immediately after the first episode. Many reasons for that. We don't need to go into all that. I'll lose too much time. So forgiveness for every individual is going to look different. It's going to look different. Let me just start off by saying what I do not believe forgiveness is. You have your own definition of it. You can agree or disagree. But in disagreement, reflect. Think about why you may disagree about it. If you agree, think about why you agree. I don't need anybody just, I'm going along with what she says because, I believe in the things that she has to say. Or, no, I'm not. I'm not going along with her because she doesn't know or her experience is different from mine. Always reflect and always find your own reasoning for choosing yay or nay, yes or no. Always reflect on that. So I'm just going to say I feel, from my perspective, what forgiveness isn't. And just like I teach my students, or I taught my students when I was teaching elementary, as young as, second grade, when I had a full classroom and I was a general ed teacher, or educator, as I like to say. If you have an opinion, you have to back it up with something. So don't tell me or don't tell yourself yes or no without actually backing it up, right? You have to back it up with something. So let me go through a couple of what I feel forgiveness is and what I feel forgiveness is not. Let's start with is not. So for me, forgiveness is not, I let that go. I know it happened. I know I was mad about it, but I let that go. That is not forgiveness. And I will tell you why I do not feel that's forgiveness. You can let something go and the conversation come back up and you get upset about it all over again, or you get emotional about it all over again. That is not letting go. That's looking away. Big difference in the two. So if you say, I let that go, that means that you really didn't work on it. You just chose to look away. And you will always know whether or not you just let something go without doing that work, because you'll still get upset about it. That's what I meant last week when I said that there were still some people that I had not forgiven. Had I forgiven them, or had that forgiveness already happened, everything would be back to normal or greater. And that's not the case. That's why I know that there's some things that are missing that need to be worked out. Another thing that I don't feel forgiveness is, or should I say forgiveness is not, a one-step process. In other words, I forgive you. That is not forgiveness. That is much like I let that go. Just to say, oh, I forgive you. That is not forgiveness. Now, mind you, we are talking about situations that actually cause an upheaval, actually cause us to feel a certain way, actually cause even chaos in your life. Something that a person or a group of people could have done. If you're just talking about somebody saying something just in a roundabout way, that's simple. Yeah, you can forgive that. You can forgive that. If you're talking about something that you can literally lose consciousness of it or forget about, literally not even remember a particular conversation, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that really require thought, processing, talking to someone else about it because it really hit you in a deep place, in a deep space. That's what I'm talking about. So to just say, I know you did this to my son or to my daughter or to my sister or to my brother, but I forgive you for that. If it was enough that it caused any kind of an emotional, any kind of a trigger, and a trigger is something that makes you react in a way that puts you outside of yourself, kind of, that doesn't allow you to be happy. It takes happiness from you. That's a trigger. Just the statement, I forgive you, that's not the work. That's not the work. That's avoidance. So that's not it either. Another thing forgiveness is a justification. And I can go on and on with things that forgiveness is not, that's really been proven by me. The steps that I have gone through in my life, I can tell you for a fact, those things are not forgiveness. And I gave you examples. And that's why I stand on what I'm saying. Justification or just saying, well, that's just how, that's how he is or that's how she is. That is not forgiveness. It is not. That is sweeping under the rug. because you're allowing someone to continue to react or continue to do the things that they do that are upsetting, that are offensive, and that in your space to you are just not right. So to say that's just how they are, that is going to come back, I promise you, probably 3-4 times worse because it wasn't addressed. Those are all simple ways of putting it away and not doing the work. I'm guilty of it too. I'm just saying it never helps. It doesn't get you anywhere. So that whole forgiveness thing, it's complex. It just is. It comes about at times where you're just not even understanding why you're acting the way you're acting or why you're reacting the way you're reacting. But a lot of times it's because there are just things that didn't get dealt with. And I have to speak about that forgiveness piece and our confusion or our misunderstanding of what forgiveness actually is. And to say, I let that go, or to say, I forgive you, or to just say, well, that's just how, that is not the word. It's just not. It is not. Now, again, I can go on and on with others, but I'm going to stop right there with that. What I truly do not think forgiveness is, truly don't, and backing that up. But forgiveness could be possibly, listening, just listening and communicating with an open mind and a closed mouth. That could be forgiving. Because there are things that happen in our lives all the time where we're triggered, where we're upset, angry about something, and we want to respond and we want to react immediately. But the silence and the surrender to go ahead and listen to that other person or that other individual or whoever it was that triggered you, the silence on that and just kind of listening and sitting with it and saying, let me hear what you, wait a minute. Okay, so come again, explain to me, tell me what just happened. Tell me what just happened. And you might literally have to remind yourself not to say anything. It's something about giving a person the opportunity to explain that will allow them to be more mindful of what they said or did. It's something about it, because at some point, you've heard conversations or even been in a conversation where somebody just says, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you just said? It's that kind of thing where it's just like, okay, I'm going to let you go ahead and say that and see if you are even conscious of what in the world just happened. Because some people are not conscious of the things that they do. Some people are raised a certain way. Some people exist in a certain culture where what I do may offend you, but that's what I did all my life. It's what I did at the house. That's what I did under my roof at home. That's just how we did it. There's some people that are loud and, kind of a little more boisterous than others at home. And that's just how they get down. That's just what they do. But there are others who don't believe in all that yelling and all of that. It's just too much. So they trigger from different things also. That's just a thing. It's just a fact. I think another thing that could be kind of pulling back, forgiveness, just to take a step back and just to establish how to move forward. If you're even interested in how you move forward with another situation, that's a step at trying to forgive. If you're even interested, that's already a step. The issues that I talked about on the first episode, sure, I'm interested in what to do. But there's something else in the way of that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But if you're even establishing, thinking about, okay, what can I do? How can I move forward with this? What does need to happen? And when you consider that person, you don't have to, but when you consider that person, you're interested in forgiving, right? I think another thing could be seeking resolution with that person, and they kind of piggyback off of each other. But just to seek resolution, how can I probably help that person to just get over this, or to just not act that way when it comes to me? How can I help them? You shouldn't have to exert any energy to help anybody else, but sometimes that's kind of the only way it's going to happen. Sometimes that's just you being the bigger person. And forgiveness is that. It is at times being the bigger person. It's probably most of the time being the bigger person. Because if you're thinking about, you're worrying about, you're concerned about that forgiveness piece, you're giving it some thought. The other person may just not even realize what's going on. There have been so many different situations that have happened in my life when I'm just like, okay, I can't believe you said that to me. Why would you even say that? It's like, what? The other person's going, what, say what? So over communication is important in some situations where you have to make it clear what it is that went wrong or what it was that you didn't like. Whatever that could have been, you got to make that clear. But one thing I will say that forgiveness is, and we've, gone past what it could be, and we can keep on going on what it could be. But what forgiveness definitely is something that's active, that goes on, that continues to work, right? There are different situations that you just call it, I forgave that, and I walked away, not realizing that's just not how forgiveness works. Forgiveness is active. It's something that you keep working on. It's not just a boom, I already did that. It's not a check off. It's an active process. Remember, my son was killed by someone who was not honoring something that should have just been a given. Not honoring his space. Not honoring his life. I'm not going to be able to live my life mad at him. I'm not going to be able to live my life mad at the other two that are in the middle of this. I'm not going to be able to live my life mad at the judge that didn't post bond so high or didn't make it so difficult that these folks could just get out on bond and walk around like nothing happened, like they didn't take my baby. I'm not going to be able to live my life to the fullest and live my life through my light if I stay mad at these folks. It would be very easy. It would be very easy to just say, well, I can't forgive that. I can't, it would be easy to do that. Just say, I can't. But that would choke out my spirit, my heart and soul. It would choke me because I can't be that person. And you say to yourself, you just forgive it? And I say to myself, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. And it's not even about giving them a pass. It's not about giving them a pass at all. It's not. But it's about giving me my life. It's about giving me my happiness. It's about me, is what I'm saying. It's not about them at all. So at the end of the day, friends, when you talk about forgiveness, it's not even for the other person. It's for you. Ego and expectations. When you put your expectations or what you would do in certain situations, when you put that expectation on somebody else and you expect them to respond the way you respond, you've already shot it. That's already a done deal. Because your expectations belong with you. They don't belong with anybody else. Your ego is what keeps you from surrendering to things that you just cannot control. I couldn't control what those three conspired and did to my son. I couldn't control that. But if my ego gets in the way, I start talking about what I should have done while he was growing up, what I should have done, if my ego starts getting in the way. But I know I only have control over so much. I know that and I understand that. And most of us would do a lot better if we would surrender to that and just say, you know what? I just didn't have control over that. And some of you may be thinking right now, oh no, see, because if it was me, I would. Okay. All right. So then, if you ever have to deal with that kind of situation, then you know exactly what you would do, I guess. But things never, ever work out exactly the way you plan. They never work out perfectly, but they always work out the way they're supposed to. And I have the understanding. I have the faith to continue and keep going and not question the universe, not question that. Because I don't question the universe when I get what I want. I'm not going to question when I don't. So if we can look past some of our ego tripping, if we can look past some of those expectations that we put on others and hold them accountable for, it won't be perfect. It won't be perfect, but it'll be the way it's supposed to be. And the way it's supposed to be in terms of our learning our lessons and us doing our work. You individually doing your work, me individually doing my work, because we all collectively have our own piece to do, our own piece to complete. All of us do. And when you think about forgiveness, when you think about what it looks like, think about the most challenging thing you could ever imagine. And ask yourself, how do I forgive that? And if you can, then you know you can forgive. You know you can. But if you can't, then there's some ego and there's some expectation work that needs to be done. Because in this lifetime, we only have enough time to learn. That's all we have enough time to do. Sure, we can, throw in some other things, have a good time while you're doing it. We can throw in those things. Sure. Love, all of those things, they all count and they all matter. They all matter. But we all came here to learn something. We all came here with a journey and a mission. All of us did. And we all have free will to complete that mission, complete that journey, however it is that we want. But while you're doing it, do it in a way that could make you or make your life more fulfilling, more meaningful. Those that walk around with a reason to be angry are those that walk around without fulfillment. I cannot walk around with a reason to be angry. I can't. It won't let me serve the people that I'm supposed to serve. It won't allow me to do it. Whether I'm serving the students at the school, whether I'm serving their parents, whether I'm serving those that listen to this podcast, it will not allow me to do that. So again, consider what the process is. Because I only have one job. We think about jobs and things that we have to do around the house and things that we do to earn money. I got one job. That's it. One job. And that's to make me happy. That's the only job I have. That is it. Now, how I go about doing it is something else. But I know in my heart and soul, I got one job. I got one. And that's to fulfill and make myself happy. And I've had some bumps in the road. I certainly have. But what am I going to do to continue and make sure that I'm doing my job? It has to start somewhere. Has to start somewhere. And that forgiveness thing is hard. It's hard because I'm up in the middle of the night looking at pictures of my son and my daughter. I'm up looking at their graduation pictures. How they graduated the same year. She graduated from college. He graduated from high school. And I'm up in the middle of the night and I'm looking at those pictures. I'm looking at them and their expressions. And those expressions in their pictures that are just like their expressions in real life, and how they would throw shots back at each other. And the expressions on their face and the playfulness that they exchange. Those very things are caught in those pictures. They're caught. And I stare at them. And I realize that that's all I have of the two of them now. How do I forgive those three that took that? How do I forgive that? It's hard. It's hard work. And it doesn't stop. It's active. It doesn't stop. But I have to understand that the journey of my son, just like the journey of my daughter, the journey of my husband, the journey of mine, they're all different. They're all different. And if we're lucky, they can align and we can leave here in order. You know, parents getting older and then they leave this space, this place, this earth, and then the kids take over. Part of mine is a little bit out of whack already because he's already transitioned. My son is already transitioned. So that part's already out of order to me. But his journey was already complete. And I have to accept that. And I'll forever have to accept that the rest of my life. I had a conversation with a friend who said, so how are y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling? It's a husband and wife. How are y'all feeling? Are y'all able to forgive? I don't know if I'd be able to do that. And my husband's like feeling that, he can't and saying no. And the couple, very close friend, amazing people. And their response was, there's no way I could do that. There's no way I could ever do that. And while I respect their opinion, and while I respect wholeheartedly how difficult it probably was for them to even make a comment like that, I have to say that if you're going to save your own life, when you deal with situations like this, if you're going to save your own life, you have to do some things that seem unthinkable. Forgiveness comes to mind. Unthinkable to forgive someone that did that. But if you don't forgive, all it does is embed itself in your spirit if you don't. Your forgiveness may not be of the magnitude that I'm talking about. It may not. But you can best believe as it compiles, eventually it will be. It will be. That's why we have to learn to forgive and learn what forgiveness actually is and define it. Will my forgiveness for these 3 men, will it look like the forgiveness that I have for friends or family? I don't know. I wish I could answer that, because there's a trial that's going to come about and they're going to say some things that I'm not going to like. Because they're trying to save their lives. They're trying to make sure that they can continue to live their life. I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is it doesn't look like no accountability. Because I can forgive you and still understand that accountability remains. That doesn't go away. There was accountability for my kids when they were growing up. So yes, accountability should exist for someone that takes arms against anyone that I love, especially one that I gave birth to. The one that I gave birth to. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not forgiving him for him. Either of those 3. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for me. And that's all I need you all to understand, is that forgiveness is for you, about you, and only you. I'm closing out now. And I hope that this conversation was one that you can reflect on, think about, and grow from. Because forgiveness will allow you to do that one job that you have. And that is to be happy. Forgiveness will allow you to do that. That one job. Your happiness, your health. Or your health. However you want to name it. But that's all the goal should be. That's all it needs to be. Your one job. Your one job. That's all I have for you. Thank you for joining. Bye. Hey, good people, I am back just for a couple seconds, though, not for very long. That episode for me was pretty emotional. I did have to give myself a little bit of a break. I really did. But I do want to come back and close out by saying that I appreciate you and thank you for listening, and to please just start thinking about forgiving. Just start thinking about the forgiveness piece, because that is for you. It's not for the other individual, because trust me, the work that that other individual has to do is much heavier than yours, right? Forgive, and make sure that you're doing it in a way that is active. Make sure you're doing it in a way that doesn't just say, I did it, but in a way that shows that you actually went through it. That is the assignment. So come up with your own process on forgiveness. And remember to email, remember to reach out to me, remember to keep in contact with me and let me know how you're doing. Let me know how it works out. And always, always feedback is welcome. Thank you for joining me, y'all. See you soon. Bye.